Hello everybody, my name is Exony, and today I wanted to talk to you about the heavy weapons guy. To be more specific, some of the changes that he received during the Jungle Inferno update that pertain to his ability to go fast. For a quick recap, the heavy had his gloves of running urgently and his eviction notice reworked to drain health while active instead of giving damage vulnerability to the wielder. These changes were made because these melee options had given the heavy a way to negate his major downsides of slow movement speed for little to no downside at all if the heavy was smart enough to put these away before entering direct combat. And while classes being more mobile is not a huge problem in itself, the real problem stemmed from the heavy's ability to counteract his slow movement speed while still retaining the largest health pool in the game and an incredibly high damage output, making these melees essential for any heavy player who wanted to do his job in the most efficient way possible. Valve saw this problem and decided to act, changing both of these weapons to drain the heavy's health while they were active. Great. This means that the heavy has to make a conscious decision between showing up to a fight early and being able to move around a battlefield faster, or retain his large health pool. This means faster heavies equal better position but less damage to kill, while slower heavies equals worse position but they'll take more damage to kill. And this is good. There's nothing wrong with this, as it makes heavy's other melee weapons viable without making the gloves running urgently or the eviction notice obsolete in the process. So why am I making this video? The problem I have is with the changes made to the buffalo steak sandwich. While the changes were very small, were made without even being noted in the Jungle Inferno balance changes, which increased the item's duration from 15 seconds to 16 seconds. And while you may be asking yourself, so what? It's a gimmick item that allows Heavy to run around with his fists out. What I dislike about this well-cooked steak is the speed boost that it grants, which may be fun to mess around with while trying to catch up and punch your enemies to death, but it also completely destroys what the TF team was hoping to achieve with the changes to the gloves of running urgently and the eviction notice. By far, the strongest and most abusable place for the old gloves of running urgently or the eviction notice was rolling out on a map. Now you're punished the longer the rollout is, but the buffalo steak sandwich has no downsides like they do. No adverse effects on a rollout. You just eat your beef when the round starts, run to the midpoint or wherever the fight may be taking place, and boom, instant full health heavy, rip roaring and ready to go. And for this next part, I want to ask you a question. How effectively does the eviction notice stack with the buffalo steak sandwich? Would it A, be slower than if it were equipped with the gloves of running urgently, B, the same as if you had the gloves of running urgently equipped, or C, what is the spaghetti code holding this item together? And if you answered B or C, you'd be right. Well, under the effects of the steak sandwich, your heavy moves at 299 hammer units per second, which for reference is one slower than the pyro, sniper, or engineer. But while wielding the GRU or the eviction notice, it's increased to 310.5 hammer units per second. Don't ask me why, just don't use the GRU with this. There's actually no point. So if you really need to get out to the point faster, slap on the eviction notice and you'll lose 100 health, but arrive that little bit faster. And just a fun fact to throw in, this doesn't really matter much, it just highlights how broken the buffalo steak sandwich's speed buff is. If you hit a heavy with the disciplinary action, or if he's under the effects of the conqueror, he'll be moving at 322 hammer units per second. But if the heavy eats a steak before or after being put under the effects, it'll drop that speed down to 310.5, making it much worse to use this than just being hit with the whip. For some reason, but that's just a small tangent to highlight how this weapon's speed buff just doesn't make any sense. Honestly, it's good to see the Team Fortress team taking steps in the right direction to balancing out the classes, but it seems with 2 steps forward we still take 1 step back. But slow progress is progress nonetheless, and these complaints about the steak sandwich mainly applied to a competitive environment that Valve intends to balance the game for. And while I do hope that something is changed about this sandwich, I hope it doesn't throw it further into the useless pile. The sad part is, taking the speed boost away from this item would remove the only part of it that makes it slightly workable for punching heavies. The increase in damage taken already makes his playstyle incredibly hard to utilize, and removing the speed buff would just make it impossible for the heavy to close the distance to his targets. But as it stands right now, heavy still moves slower while under the effects of this than normal targets like pyro, engineer, or sniper by 1 hammer unit per second, and other classes can easily get away from him, making the buffalo steak sandwich completely underwhelming in the melee-centric heavy playstyle that it encourages, while at the same time defeating the TF team's goals for balancing the heavy to have a trade-off between utility and overall health pool. This item is in dire need of a rework to make it usable in a casual environment while reducing its utility in a competitive play. I know that this may not be a super important topic, and I may just seem like a madman rambling off about how one of the Heavy's worst secondaries counteracts the Heavy's overall design, while failing to create the subclass it sets out to create. These are just my thoughts, of course, on this item. Maybe you disagree with that and think it's fine as is, or you have some middling thoughts about it. And I'd love to hear what you think, so leave a comment down below, and believe it or not, I do read all of them. With that, I hope you have a great day, and peace out.